Steph Curry is widely known as the greatest shooter of all time. He hits impossible threes, won 4 NBA championships, and truly revolutionized basketball forever. But there is one thing people often overlook, and that is that he likes to show off. From no-look shots to iconic celebrations that spread across every sport, Steph doesn't just dominate, he makes sure you know about it. But how did he even become so good in the first place? And why do some critics actually claim that he ruined basketball because of his skills? Well, to find out, we have to go back to February 27th, 2013. Wardell Stephen Curry II, or better known simply by his middle name, Steph, has been slowly developing into a solid point guard since the Golden State Warriors chose him 7th back in the 2009 draft. Curry, who was selected for his incredible shooting ability, was never one to showboat since he arrived in the NBA. The furthest he ever went was pointing up to the sky, to not only give all glory to God, but to also acknowledge his mother. However, it was on this night where everything changed for Steph. As the first half progressed, Curry was only getting hotter and hotter, and it became clear what was in store for not only the Knicks, but fans in the iconic Madison Square Garden arena after Steph did this.
I'm like, he doing the that we was like, you can't do that in the league. Yeah, you going too fast shooting that jumper now. That's too much. You ain't even holding it up no more. He was, falling and no, bro. Now he talking to the crowd. He pointing at fans. I'm like, Steph don't even do that. I think it was us. I think we ignited that confidence that came, because after that game, bro, he got very disrespectful.
Yeah, he took off.
He got disrespectful. He started trash.
While Golden State would unfortunately lose this epic battle, Stephen Curry's 54-point career-high performance and incredible shimmy celebrations marked a turning point in the rising guard's career. Because 2 months later, as the 2012-2013 regular season was coming to a close, the Warriors were set to face the Kobe Bryant-led Los Angeles Lakers, a must-win game if Golden State was going to get a higher seed in the playoffs. So, Curry started out incredibly hot, dropping 22 points in the first quarter alone. But it wasn't just the numbers which were so entertaining, it was the celebrations. Steph was talking to the crowd and showing actual emotion after hitting big threes. Yet this wasn't all. The Warriors' rising star simply refused to cool off from his first quarter domination, ending this night with a huge 47 points, and with 1.5 seconds left, he had a chance to steal a victory in Los Angeles.
From the backcourt, almost, and the Lakers hang on and win the game.
While the former 7th pick just missed the game winner, he was so hot throughout this matchup that Laker players weren't even celebrating the win. Instead, they were just relieved that the new kid on the block didn't destroy them from near full court. But this season only got crazier. April 28th, 2013. As the Warriors left their locker room to begin the third quarter, they found themselves with a sizable 12-point lead. However, Golden State knows how quickly a margin can evaporate. So, Steph started to do some pretty insane things.
And we go on this crazy run. I had, knocking shots down left and right. And the last kind of one in the third quarter, right in front of Denver's bench, JaVale McGee's standing, like literally standing up. There's like 5 or 6 guys around him, and get the ball in the corner. And obviously you've been in that situation where you rise up and everybody just talking, trash behind you. And for some reason, I just got an out of body experience. I shot it, and literally as I let it go, it's like I've never felt the shot feel better than that. And I turned around and kind of looked at JaVale, and then just ran off, and it went in. And that was when I didn't even check to see if it went in. I just was waiting for the noise.
For the first time in his 4-year career, Curry had not only pulled his follow-through down early, but he had literally turned around with the ball still in the air and said this to Denver's bench.
He lets the ball go and turns around and tells him to shut up. Ball's like midair. It's like not even close to the rim.
Thanks to their newly dubbed baby-faced assassin, Oakland's NBA franchise had shockingly defeated the much higher-seeded Nuggets and were now preparing for a battle against one of the greatest dynasties in the history of the league, the San Antonio Spurs. But Steph wasn't worried. During Game 1, Curry was doing things that no one had ever seen before at the highest level of the game. Picking up the ball off the floor and hitting a shot.
Curry didn't even have control of the ball, picked it up and threw it in.
Knocking down crazy walk-off threes.
Lead, and now it's 11, Curry again. And you know, Curry could do that in a hurry.
And turning complaining for a foul into a fun celebration. However, San Antonio's veteran presence and the fact their team was primed for another finals run meant that the Spurs would eventually defeat the young Warriors 4-2. Yet this season was only the start of one of the greatest careers of all time, and today could very well be the start of your very own incredible career journey, thanks to today's video sponsor, Odoo. Odoo is an all-in-one business solution, but for now, let's zoom into their website builder, which requires zero technical skills or knowledge to use. All you have to do is simply answer some questions. What type of website are you trying to build? What sort of business do you run? And your main objective. Then, Odoo has you select the color scheme that you would like, and then finally, you pick the pages that you want to see on your finished site, then boom, Odoo does all the work. Not only is it that easy to create a custom website, but once it comes down to writing engaging copy, which can be very difficult, Odoo has built ChatGPT directly into their website builder to make that even easier. Not only is starting your business/career journey that simple, but Odoo will not only give you your first app free for life, but they'll host your website and provide support at no extra cost, and even give you a free custom domain name for 1 year as well. So if you're ready to power your business with Odoo's website builder, check out the link in the description and pinned comment to get started today. Anyway, back to Los Angeles. October 31st, 2013. In Steph's second game of the brand new 2013-2014 season, the rising guard would come out versus the Los Angeles Clippers and ignite their defense. Curry, who often chewed his mouthguard to help him stay focused, had not only signed a deal with Mogo Sport, who crafted custom flavored mouthguards for him, but the Warriors guard would put in an insane 9 threes. However, Steph's 38-point performance was ultimately overshadowed by the fact that it was the Clippers who left this regular season battle with the victory, a failure which only continued as Golden State once again faced Los Angeles in the first round of the playoffs. As not only did Curry get embarrassed by JJ Redick,
it was payback. I actually got a block. So the part of it was like I had like this reaction. It wasn't even about a shot. I was like, I gotta stop. Yeah, let's now what? It didn't matter who it was. So I was like yelling, like flexing at the crowd, doing all that stuff. But then I got humbled.
But his Warriors would get sent back to Oakland empty-handed after failing in Game 7. If Steph Curry was ever going to reach his full potential, something needed to change within Golden State's team, and fast.
I want to thank all of you for coming. It's a special day for the Warriors, the day we announced Steve Kerr as the head coach.
Steve Kerr, a 5-time NBA champion as a player with the Chicago Bulls and San Antonio Spurs, not only brought in a refreshed perspective as their new head coach, but would literally change the way basketball was played forever. Yet, it did take him some time to get used to coaching a player like Steph Curry, because on March 9th, 2015, this happened.
I remember on the sidelines seeing him looking like Curly Neal from the Harlem Globetrotters, dribbling through traffic, and then a fadeaway three. And in my mind, I'm thinking every coach that I ever had in my life, their voice was in my head saying, that's a terrible shot. So you see me on the sidelines, I'm holding my arms up. I'm thinking Phil Jackson, Greg Popovich, their voices are in my head. Lute Olson, this is a terrible shot. What I eventually figured out is that it's a great shot because it's Steph Curry.
And it was all due to this insane bucket that Coach Kerr would come to realize who he was actually coaching.
He's one of the greatest showmen that I've ever seen. Like you love the spectacular, right? You love to do something that nobody else does.
Steph would then get revenge on their so-called rivals as the regular season was rounding out.
Curry in on it, shakes ball out of his boots and hits a fallaway jump shot.
And the hiring of Kerr, combined with the new Warriors style of play, saw Golden State heading into the playoffs as the #1 seed. But could they actually win anything with a baby-faced point guard as their #1 option? Well, their road to get to the elusive championship round was filled with speed bumps. Curry would have to hit multiple insane shots, such as this one versus the Pelicans in the first round,
Rebound, Curry again, and Curry
or this incredible bucket against the Grizzlies in the second.
no call that way. Curry flings it the other way, and he...
However, despite actually making it all the way to the NBA Finals and Steph being crowned as the most valuable player of the whole league after Game 3 rounded out, it was actually the Warriors who found themselves in a 2-1 hole. Yet this wasn't the only issue. Matthew Dellavedova, the Cavaliers' backup point guard, had been tasked with slowing down Golden State's MVP.
Delly almost died guarding Steph Curry. No, literally almost died. We have footage of this man in an ice tub, like literally to his neck trying to guard this man.
And his efforts had earned the Cleveland guard the title of Curry Stopper, a nickname which rubbed Steph the wrong way. June 14th, 2015. While the Warriors had won Game 4 thanks to a roster change, moving Andre Iguodala into the starting lineup, with the series tied at 2 wins each, and the next game being played in Cleveland, a Golden State loss here would almost certainly mean the LeBron James-led Cavaliers would be crowned champions. So, Steph, motivated by not only the crown, but to prove those Curry Stopper believers wrong, would not only go out and destroy Dellavedova, but put on an epic show while doing so.
And Steph, he the type, like, he's not going to announce that, like, I heard what you said, or you said this, you said that. He's just going to come out like he's a true competitor. They think he a little light-skinned dude, but he like a real competitor.
Whether it was his traditional giving God the glory, running away after shooting,
steps back. Oh, Stephen Curry with some magic.
Or this epic mean mug, Curry's 37 points had quieted his doubters. Yet, the awesome showboating didn't end here, as in Game 6, the former 7th pick was showcasing a classic, looking at his offhand after making a left-handed layup. Also, who started this? Was it Shaq? I spent so long trying to figure it out and I couldn't, so if you know, comment below. Or the binoculars after throwing a stunning no-look dime to Iguodala. However, it was after the final buzzer sounded and Golden State was crowned kings of the NBA, where Steph Curry would receive some more motivation.
It could have been a lot of these guys, but there can only be one MVP. And this year's MVP is a player who didn't start in a single game until these finals. This year's Bill Russell MVP, Andre Iguodala.
But what happened in their following 2015-2016 season would be one of the most incredible campaigns in the history of the sport. January 22nd, 2016. Paul George, the Indiana Pacers' two-way superstar, was ready to try and shut down this baby-faced assassin.
I'm like, yo, I got Steph. I'm about to lock him down.
However, Curry had different plans. Not only did he hit 2 back-to-back quarter-ending half-court shots, but the now one-time champion would hit 8 threes and end this night having scored 39 points.
Bro, I couldn't stop none of it. I couldn't stop none of it.
So what was it that motivated Steph anyway? Well, his teammate Andre Iguodala shed some light on his secret.
I think it was Iguodala, but I believe he said that if you have a bad shooting first half, you go on Twitter to read the comments.
That was I started that during that run. Yeah, for me, like it was. I was looking at Twitter and looking at real strong opinions on how you're playing and all that, based on, we call it first quarter Twitter. Like it's the best. It's the best thing in the world. Like, oh, the Warriors suck. We're down 6 at the end of the quarter.
Steph, having read all the hate comments about him on Twitter, would come out after halftime and put on a show, leading Golden State to become one of, if not the greatest third quarter team in the history of basketball. Curry was so dominant in this period that in 26 games during the 2015-2016 season, the Warriors were so far ahead at the end of the third that Steph simply didn't play the whole fourth quarter. Not only would a social media app light a fire underneath the baby-faced assassin, but so did other players, such as Miami Heat rookie Josh Richardson.
But I come off the bench, and my first matchup is Steph. I walk in, I chest him up as soon as I get in the game on the inbound. I'm just pushing him. I'm like, yeah, you're not doing that tonight. Not on me, brother. About 36 minutes later, and 42 Steph points later, I'm in the locker room like, nah. nah, this can't be what it's like. I'm taking my stuff out like this ain't it.
But it was in February of 2016 where we saw perhaps the most insane Steph Curry performance to date, because after suffering a minor ankle sprain, the NBA MVP would return in that elusive third quarter and begin to do shocking things.
Curry from downtown, punch it in!
However, after Iguodala hit some super clutch free throws to send the game to overtime, Steph would do something that will be remembered as one of the most iconic moments in NBA history.
They do have a timeout. Decide not to use it. Curry, way downtown. Bang! Bang! Oh, what a shot from Curry!
However, Steph's 46-point game-saving performance versus Oklahoma City wasn't the highest scoring night he had that season. Against the Washington Wizards, Steph would showboat his way to 51.
Ball nearly taken away by Dudley. Curry! Bang! Curry!
And versus the New Orleans Pelicans, Curry flashed his evil smile early on, signaling to New Orleans that he was about to murder them. 53 points later, he definitely did that. Yet, in their first round playoff matchup versus the Houston Rockets, after setting an NBA record by winning 73 regular season games, Curry would come down with what could have been a season-ending injury. But on May 9th, 2016, Steph would finally return, and what happened on this fateful evening in Oregon would truly shock everyone. Because with the looming threat of the Portland Trail Blazers stealing another game and tying the series, Steph Curry, who had been dubbed Chef by rapper Drake, started to cook. I'm gonna forever make terrible puns on this channel, I don't care. Yet, it's what he did in overtime after failing to win the game in regulation, which was the most impressive. Not only would he hit the classic flex celebration after grabbing an offensive rebound and turning it into an easy 2 points, but a few possessions later, this happened.
Left wide open! Tells the fans, I am back. I am back.
Steph would then round out his 17-point overtime by absolutely stunning this fan and pushing Golden State to be up 3-1. However, once again before Game 5, something mind-blowing would happen. NBA Commissioner Adam Silver left Steph Curry hanging. After being crowned as the league's first unanimous MVP, Steph would drop 29 on Portland's head and set his team up for a Western Conference Finals battle with the Kevin Durant-led Oklahoma City Thunder. But it was in Game 4 where the Warriors' record-smashing season was seemingly coming to a close. As it was OKC, not the Golden State Warriors, who held a 3-1 lead. And to make things even worse, history was against them. Only 2 teams since the NBA began had ever come back from this deficit in a conference finals. So, if Curry was going to save his amazing season, he had a massive mountain to climb. May 26, 2016, the baby-faced assassin knew just how important this victory was for not only himself, but the legacy of their 73-win season. Therefore, Steph Curry came out and played at an emotional level not yet seen by the now 2-time MVP. As the game progressed, you could literally see just how passionate and fueled the 27-year-old was to will his Warriors to victory, with his backcourt running mate and the second half of the proclaimed Splash Brothers Klay Thompson lighting up the Oklahoma City Nets in Game 6, and Steph doing this in Game 7.
And he fires! Yes!
And Curry is saying, we're not going home!
Golden State was set for their second return to the NBA Finals. But this time around, the Warriors didn't face any struggles, Curry stopper comments, or failures. No, as Game 4 came to a close, it was Golden State who held a lead that no other team in NBA Finals history had ever come back from. 3-1. To make things even better, Game 5 was going to be played in Oracle Arena, leading many to believe that Steph was just days away from winning his second ring. However, LeBron James and the 2 other members of his Big Three, Kevin Love and specifically Kyrie Irving, weren't interested in going home empty-handed. LeBron and Kyrie's 82-point outburst in Game 5, James's 41 points in Game 6, and Irving's incredible step-back jumper in Game 7 saw the Cavaliers achieve something that had never been done before. Perhaps this was the end of the Golden State Warriors' potential dynasty.
News again coming in moments ago, Kevin Durant heading to the Golden State Warriors.
However, with the signing of NBA superstar Kevin Durant, would Steph Curry still be able to be Steph Curry? Well, on November 7th, 2016, that question was answered. Because not only would Steph Curry hit 1 or 2 big threes, he literally broke an NBA record that he himself had matched in the previous season.
For the record, good! There it is. Everyone's aware of it. No man has made 13 threes in a game until tonight.
Yet, questions were starting to be raised about how Steph's insane shooting was impacting the game of basketball as a whole. As, at this stage, no matter what gym you walked into anywhere on earth, young players were no longer focused on layups or mid-range jumpers, but instead running back behind the three-point line to jack up shots, and then copying celebrations from the NBA.
But the celebrations are really interesting to me. My oldest, Knox, just started playing, so I go to his practices and I go to his games. And I mean, Jesus Christ, man. It's after every single point. Somebody's doing this. Somebody's doing a shimmy. Somebody's doing LeBron push down. I like, these kids are 4'4" and they're doing the too small to each other. It makes no sense.
To make matters worse, the NBA and its teams, a league in which organizations simply try and copy what successful teams are doing, began mimicking Golden State. Combine this with the analytics movement, in which most coaches were no longer allowing their players to attempt mid-range jump shots and instead guiding those athletes to shoot more and more threes. The style of play that many fans grew up watching was disappearing, a fact which meant that many fans began to blame a certain point guard for ruining basketball. However, despite all the noise, Steph Curry just kept being Steph Curry. In fact, the hand stare celebration clearly became a new favorite of his, as well as continuing his signature shimmy.
Here's Curry from way downtown. Yes, and the foul.
But there were some new ones, such as Draymond Green nearly killing him after he nailed a half-court buzzer beater versus the Clippers, or the rare, but one of my favorites, counting out his points after an and-one three. Yet, these showboats weren't even the best that season, as versus the Celtics, Steph would call out Boston rookie Jaylen Brown. While it's unclear what Brown actually did, one thing is clear, Jaylen definitely poked the bear. On top of all these incredible celebrations, Golden State would, of course, with 4 All-Stars, decimate the NBA playoffs, literally only losing 1 game on their route to a championship. However, once again, Curry was snubbed from one of the few awards he had yet to earn. Therefore, Steph came into the 2017-2018 season even more motivated. Yet, as Golden State was chasing their 3rd title in just 4 years, a massive roadblock would appear. The James Harden-led Houston Rockets, who in Game 6 of the Western Conference Finals not only held a 10-point halftime lead, but had forced the Warriors' 2-time MVP to shoot a horrific 13% from 3. However, with the 3rd quarter approaching, you already know what's about to happen.
Some of them, I feel like he won't even looking at the basket, bro. He just be like, it's like, is he serious? Like, he disrespected me. Like, bro, he's like dead ass, like, all right, he disrespected me. I'm like, yo, he not even looking like for real, bro. Like,
not only had Steph's second half heroics saved Golden State, but the Rockets' record-setting 27 missed threes in a row during Game 7 would, for the 4th time, see Curry returning to the highest stage of basketball. But it wasn't just the chip the 2-time champion was gunning for. June 3rd, 2018. As the 3rd quarter was rounding out, Steph, after chucking up a shot, turned around to head back towards the Warriors bench. However, this happened.
He said that I tried to trip him. I'm like, bro, I didn't move my leg. I didn't stick my leg. I was sitting the same way the whole time. What are you talking about? And I was just like, you know what I told him? I said, Steph, man, chill out, man. For real, if I make you smell my cologne.
So, of course, motivated to shut Kendrick Perkins up, the Warriors' superstar would go out and go 5 for 5 from 3 in the 4th quarter alone, the cherry on top of what was an almost seemingly guaranteed victory. Golden State would then go on to sweep the Cleveland Cavaliers, and Curry was excited to finally receive the award he had failed to get in his last 2 championships.
Bill, thank you for being here to help me present the Bill Russell MVP trophy. And this year, the back-to-back NBA Finals MVP Kevin Durant.
To make matters worse, this is where things started to go downhill for the Golden State Warriors. As not only would both Klay Thompson and Kevin Durant suffer season-ending injuries in the 2019 NBA Finals, destroying Steph's dream of three-peating as champions. But with KD's departure to the Brooklyn Nets before the 2019-2020 season, many began to assume that the Warriors dynasty was over. In fact, the only real positive for Steph during the next few seasons came after Portland Trailblazers star Damian Lillard poked the bear during the 2020-2021 season.
Before we played Golden State, or we played them back-to-back times in San Francisco. So we played them the first time and we beat them. And like we did the same thing the other teams doing to Steph. Like we was double teaming, switching, you know, we beat them, whatever. And they was like, dang, you know, teams are giving Steph a lot of attention. You know, they chasing them, they fouling them, they being physical with them. And I was like, right now, you know, with the injuries that the Warriors been dealing with, you know, and Steph playing with a younger team right now, you know, he's saying that it's tough to get those quality looks right now. You know, it's different than what it's looked like, you know, over the last 4 or 5 years for him. So he's trying to get quality looks and get a clean look so he can make a good one.
Comments which caused Curry to respond by doing something truly mind-blowing.
Draymond finds him another three. Got it! 62! 62!
Steph had dropped a brand new career high of 62 points. And, of course, despite Golden State struggling to win games during the season, he was still showboating. In fact, he took inspiration from a reporter at halftime during a game versus the Cavaliers.
One of our beat writers, Kerr, she's like, hey, if you see, she wrote on Twitter, hey, if you see this at halftime, like, next time you score, like, run down with like an airplane arms. And I read it and I was laughing, didn't think none of it. I made my first shot come out the halftime. I literally did it. She loved it.
However, after being eliminated in just the play-in game by the Memphis Grizzlies, it was time for Steph to get serious.
In a new experience for me, Draymond Loon. Tried to make the most of it, come back, bottle this up, everybody make the right strides, take advantage of the summer, and don't want to see us next year.
But outside of Golden State's organization, nobody believed that they would ever win anything ever again.
How many titles do you see Steph Curry winning over the next 4 years?
You know what, I hate to say this right now, but to be honest with you, I don't see the Golden State Warriors bringing home another championship.
Yet Steph was not only ready to prove them all wrong, but he was prepared to grab the award that had eluded him 3 times so far in his career. However, could he actually get it done? Well, after he beat Ray Allen's record and became the player with the most made threes in NBA history, hit this game winner versus Houston,
For the win! Yes, sir! His 8th career game winner! We gotta get out of here.
and made a shocking 16 threes in the All-Star game, it sure seemed like it. However, on March 16th, 2022, Steph Curry would suffer what became a regular season-ending injury versus the Boston Celtics. While he would return for the playoffs, with the Warriors' big three of Draymond Green, Klay Thompson, and Steph only spending mere minutes on the court together all season long, could they actually go anywhere in the postseason? April 21st, 2022, Golden State has been battling the rising Denver Nuggets and their superstar Nikola Jokic throughout this must-win game in Colorado, but failed to score here, and it might just be Denver leaving Game 3 with a huge victory.
Curry with 24, now 26 as he zooms to the rack.
Not only had Steph saved his Warriors, but the two-time MVP had brought out a brand new celebration, Night Night, one that he would repeat as San Francisco's NBA team sent Denver back home to Colorado empty-handed in Game 5. But was this series a fluke, as their next opponent was the same team who had sent them packing just a season ago, the Memphis Grizzlies? Game 1. Hungry to avenge their failure, Steph would come out and continue to do Steph Curry things, hitting and one threes,
Curry's got it, corner three, it's good, and Golden State.
Already running back on defense before the ball even went in, and saying this after their victory.
What as hell, fellas? Come on! Come on!
A statement which motivated Grizzlies star Ja Morant for Game 2, calling out his rival and Draymond Green by hitting the too small celebration after an and-one layup, and rounding out this battle with 47 points plus the victory. So how would Curry respond? May 7th, 2022. While Steph would continue to do normal Steph Curry stuff, it was clear that Morant, much like many before him, had poked the bear, because after getting a no call after a tough layup, it became obvious how frustrated Curry was. But what was most impressive is how he channeled that anger. The three-time champ would round out the series just 4 games later, and once again versus their Western Conference Finals opponent, the Dallas Mavericks, the former baby-faced assassin was putting the kids to bed, hitting a brand new dance celebration in Game 1 and pulling out the now signature night-night after Game 2. But this wasn't all, as it only took Golden State 5 games to find themselves back in the NBA Finals. However, as Game 3 came to a close in Boston, many began, once again, to doubt the Warriors.
Mr. Harvard, are the Warriors done?
Yeah, they done.
Yet, Steph Curry clearly didn't believe this at all, saying this to Boston players towards the end of their third matchup.
So we sitting there, and he just like, enjoy y'all last win.
Game 4, fueled to not only win the award which had evaded him for so long, but to ensure a 4th championship ring would slide onto his finger at the start of the following season, Curry began to heat up.
I mean, it's just 48 minutes of where is Steph? Like, you gotta know where he is at all times, trying to find him on the court, make his life difficult. And so that mental strain of where is he on the court? I mean, obviously, the way their offense is and the way he impacts the offense, like he has so much gravity that it kind of opens up other things for everybody else too. So find Steph. Is he coming off a screen? Does he have the ball? Does he not have the ball? It's constant of paranoia, I guess, for lack of a better word.
But it's what happened in the 4th, which was truly incredible.
Step back, three-pointer, bang! Steph Curry drills the 3. That's a 6-point Warriors lead.
The Golden State Warriors have evened the series at 2. A gutsy win on the road in Boston.
June 13th, 2022, Andrew Wiggins, the former #1 pick back in the 2014 draft, had struggled to find his place on a contending team since arriving in the NBA. But his move to Golden State in 2020 proved to be genius, because not only would the former first choice go out and drop 26 massive points in Game 5, but his defensive presence on the other side of the court would help Golden State to be back in control of the series. Yet, one question remained. Could they close it out in Game 6 at TD Garden? June 16th, 2022, Steph Curry, who proclaimed himself,
I'm the petty king, so I know all about everything, and I use it as entertainment and just have fun with it,
was ready to shut all those who said he would never win a Finals MVP or a championship again, and that he was nothing without Kevin Durant up. So not only would he just do what he had always done since that fateful night in New York back in 2013, but in the 3rd quarter on the road, Steph broke out perhaps his most disrespectful celebration of all time. Then, to cap it all off, he would put Boston to bed with his iconic night-night.
And that'll do it. It's over. The Golden State Warriors return to a familiar place. They're on top of the NBA world.
The 2022 Bill Russell NBA Finals MVP Award goes to Stephen Curry.
While Steph Curry has yet to return to the mountaintop, his night-night celebration became iconic. Athletes from all over the world, in every single sport, at any age, began busting out their own version of it. And once Curry broke it out after burying the hopes and dreams of a whole country at the Olympics, it's gonna go down in history as one of the most iconic showboats of all time. But Steph wasn't done, as during the 2025 All-Star media availability, Steph would address the comments that he ruined basketball.
Like the ruining the game thing, it's just a charge and a challenge to, if you want to do that, then get in the gym, get your reps in, and earn it. So I don't have any problem with guys and teams shooting a lot of threes.
obviously that's the way that I play, and I love that factor in the game, but you also got to put the work in behind the scenes to take full advantage of it.
So, what do you think? Do you believe that Steph Curry's insane three-point skills ruined the game? Or is it just the case of young players doing what they've always done and copying their idols? Let me know what you think below. Speaking of Steph Curry, one player that he's in a constant argument with is Magic Johnson, with many believing that one or the other is the greatest point guard of all time. So, to help you make your decision, why don't you check out this documentary on Earvin Magic Johnson's incredible 5-time championship and 3-time MVP winning career to help you answer that question yourself. Click the video.